Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Net Zero Nuclear booth at COP28 and Expo City in Dubai. And I am absolutely thrilled to offer a fascinating panel of young energy experts from around the world who are going to share with you aspects of clean cities that they think are most interesting and are connected to nuclear energy. Julia, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you live in Poland.
Okay, so my name is Julia and I am from Poland, as you mentioned. I'm a board member of Water for Climate organization, which is a part of our Planet umbrella organization. I'm a biologist and right now I'm trying to become a lawyer, but there's a long way in front of me. So we will see how it goes. And I've been advocating for nuclear power since, I think, 2018. So something like that.
Okay, and how old are you?
I'm 22.
So we have a 22-year-old biologist who wants to be a lawyer. I want to tell you that in the earlier nuclear world, 22-year-old biologists who were becoming lawyers were not always the friend of nuclear. What's happened?
Actually, nuclear saves environment because we can spare the land, so we can leave the land for the nature. That's the most important part for me. Also, it's clean energy source, so it can tackle the climate change. It can be part of the solution, which is also really important for me because climate change obviously can impact the environment and the biodiversity, of which part we are as humans. So I connected the dots and it turned out that I should advocate for nuclear.
So in a way, this is interesting. This is a clean cities panel, clean cities powered by nuclear. And you're saying that as a biologist, even if you're in a city, you love nature. And by looking at nature, you came to nuclear, which, as Michael alluded to, helps power dense cities. Could you tell us a little bit about the interaction between building human things, habitation, cities, roads, infrastructure, and the need of natural environments?
Okay, so right now in Poland we have huge problem because everybody wants to have a house near the forest or in the forest and live this really peaceful life. But in terms of nature, for the nature, the best solution would be us living in the cities, us in one place, district heating, also, and leaving the place for the nature. So that's really important because we are like fragmenting the areas where animals live.
Why is the fragmentation important?
Because we are not providing natural corridors for them and they cannot be diverse from this genetical point of view. So it's really hard for them to adapt to the climate change. And also it can lead to extinction of some species.
So you're kind of painting a vision for us that you looked out to nature, found nuclear, and you have this vision of cities, even with nuclear plants, moving into them, as Taya said, and that increases the contiguous areas that species can live in.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm coming more from an energy background, and I know there's a very famous bit of energy infrastructure, several, that are the killers of contiguousness. They are extremely long lines that cut across the landscape. Some of them are okay for nature to move in and around. Some are not. They all make a slight break between areas. And I'm thinking of pipelines for one, but the other one, transmission lines. Can you tell us something about the needs of different energy sources for transmission?
In general, for example, in Poland, we right now have to transform our whole transmission line system. Because if we want to invest in renewables and nuclear can be in the place where the coal and power plant was. But in terms of renewables, if we want to have them, everywhere, we need to connect them to the grid somehow. And energy lines are also not so good for biodiversity because we also have to cut the forest, for example, in some part. We have to fragment this area of living of the animals. So it's better to have your energy source close to your town and do not have to build these really long energy lines.
Question from the audience?
So you guys are talking about nuclear energy in cities, but there was no mention of keeping the nuclear waste on site. Do the people know about the nuclear waste? And what are the thoughts or actions that cities are taking to mitigate that?
The biologists are scrambling for the microphone.
Okay, so I wanted to give you an example because in Poland we also have research reactor and we have some waste because we're producing radioisotopes for almost the whole Europe to cure cancer and try to diagnose the cancer and different diseases. And we have storage for nuclear waste in one town. It's quite near the reactor and the people in the town love the fact that they have storage there, because they have lower cost of life because the storage pays for the water, for example. So they have lower cost. It's around $250,000 of dollars, something like that, yearly for things like events, like education, like, as I mentioned previously, water use. So they love this place, and it's unfortunately getting full, and they are like asking the government to make it bigger because they want to keep the waste still there. So it's perfect example how we can coexist with the nuclear waste, I think.
This was a spectacular panel. You should all get the card of every single one of these young people. I can't thank you enough for making it here to COP to spread this message, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all for the rest of week 2.